Hi there, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by. Today's video is a perfect project for a beginner sewer. Today we're gonna make these cute Valentine napkins. I have a couple of fabrics that I used. I was in Joann this past week and they had lots of Valentine fabric left. The one thing you want to remember when you're buying fabric to make the napkins, you want to get fabric where the pattern goes both directions. Because when you fold the napkin, you don't want the pattern upside down. So they had lots of fabric where the pattern's going both directions. Or I guess it's more like all directions. So anyway, let's get started making these Valentine napkins. The first thing we need to do is make a pattern. I made my pattern 16 inches by 16 inches, and I used a roll of the craft paper from Dollar Tree to make my pattern. Once we've cut out our fabric, we need to flip the fabric and put the right sides together before we clip or pin the fabric. I have my napkin all cut out. I'm gonna start sewing at this pin. I'm gonna go all the way around and I'm gonna stop sewing at this pin. I usually try to only use clips, not so many pins, because my dogs are usually out here with me and I'm always afraid I'll drop a pin. So, and that also helps me to remember it gives me a starting place and an ending place. And so you can see. To sew the napkin together, I put the edge of the fabric along the 1/2 inch mark on my sewing machine, and my stitch length was 2.5. If you're a beginner sewer, when you're coming up to the corner, you want to remember to leave your needle in the down position, then raise the pressure foot, make the turn or move the fabric, put your pressure foot back down, and then continue sewing. You want to make sure that needle's down so that you can have a nice corner. If you leave the needle up, you might move the fabric a little. This part is optional, but right here I'm just taking my pinking shears and I'm trimming the excess fabric off the edges of the napkin. Then right here I'm going at the corner and I'm just snipping off the point of the corner so that when I turn the napkin right side out, those corners will lay nicer. Now you want to turn the fabric right side out, and I don't know if you noticed, but I had already pressed those seams back before I turned the napkin right side out, but that is totally not necessary. I did it both ways and it did not make any difference. That is one step that you do not need to do before you turn the fabric right side out. That little wooden tool that I'm using there, well, it's actually bamboo, and it's called a bamboo point turner and presser. Some people just use a chopstick or a knitting needle. Yeah, my iron looks pretty bad. The next time you see my iron in this video, it'll be a brand new iron. And also, one of my next videos, I think it's going to be how to make a portable pressing table. Because when I was done pressing this napkin, that's what my table looked like. I could not find the footage where I closed the opening, where you put your hand through to pull the fabric right side out. But to close that, well, to get it ready to close, you just want to fold the fabric just underneath it, just so it just follows the seams that are already sewn. And then when you do your top stitch, you're gonna close that seam at the same time. For the top stitch, I lengthened the stitch length to 3.5, and I put the edge of the pressure foot right along the edge of the napkin to make my top stitch. And when you're doing the top stitch, you want to keep the needle down again when you're making the turn so that you have a nice clean corner. To fold the napkin, you're going to turn it to this diamond shape. Then you're going to take the bottom of the diamond, or the bottom corner, and you're going to put it up to the halfway point of the napkin. I used this tape measure as a guide. Then you want to press the bottom. A penny for your thought. Then you're going to take the top and you're going to fold it down and have it touch the very bottom where you just made the crease. And again, you're going to press. Now you're going to take this and you're going to turn it around. And now you're going to make the heart shape. You're going to find the center of your napkin and just fold one side up. And you're going to want to play with it a little bit. Make sure you have your points touch where the heart meets in the middle at the top. And then when you're happy with the shape that you have, then you want to press. And now to finish your heart, you just turn the top of the point down. And again, I kind of played with them to make sure it looked equally folded. And then when I was happy with the shape, I pressed it. Now these aren't as cute, but here is a no-sew option. I stopped into 2 thrift stores this week and both of them had square napkins. I bought the red ones and that's what I have right here. And then I was in a different one and I saw mauve ones, but I just bought the red. And maybe you have some napkins left over, not left over, but you have Christmas napkins that you could use to make this heart shape. Okay, this is option 3. This is actually a shop towel from Harbor Freight. You can get a whole package of them for like 10 bucks. And unless you had the napkin police at your house, they would never know that this is, well, it's not the nicest napkin, but they would be so overwhelmed with the beauty of the heart, I guess, whatever. So anyway, when I was folding this, so I'll just do it from the beginning, halfway, all the way over, flip it around, right up the middle, and then I turned these sides under, and then you can see I ironed these under. But I was like, why would I iron these under? They're round. So then there's the napkin. So then I started thinking, I'm making this napkin, why wouldn't I just round my corners? So after a little trial and error, these are the napkins that I did round two. So there's my first one with the square top, or the flat top. Here's one of my new ones. Here's a flat top. Now this was my first, when I rounded the corners the first time, and that's still a little too pointy. So then I took my pattern and I rounded the corners a little more, and it's actually easier to sew like this than like this. So if you take your pattern and you round the corners and then take your pattern and fold it, so take it like this, then you can see what it's going to look like before you cut it out, or before you make it, and you can see that you don't like that. So I liked that roundness, so that's what I went with. So there is my napkin pattern. So you can see, where is it now? Different fabric, but here is my new pattern with the rounded corner. That one and that one, and I think it's so pretty with the rounded top. The square corners might be a little bit easier to sew. So either way, it looks great. And I think anyone would be impressed to sit down and have that napkin at their table. We now have a rounded corner, so we want to take our scissors and we want to make little snips right around the curved edge. You just want to be really careful that you don't go into the stitch. These snips will make our corner nice and smooth when we turn the fabric right side out. And that really is the only difference with the new rounded corner. You fold it the exact same way, and here's the napkin. Are you going to try to make these napkins? Or maybe you already have some square red napkins that you can fold into the heart shape. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy this kind of content, I hope you will consider subscribing and ringing that bell, and that'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.